We talk about some of these things like you kind of tease the Christmas gumbo, which we'll get to last. Kind of these smaller things that are close to your heart, but growing. But let's talk about what just happened, the Mac Daddy Community Thanksgiving.
Lord.
The 11th annual Community Thanksgiving we just had this year successfully fed 5,000 people to the following areas: Opelousas, New Iberia, Youngsville, Sunset, Grand Coteau. We've talked with folks who want to expand it to St. Martin Parish, to Vermilion Parish, and beyond. So this thing has become a life of its own. Just briefly, just tell folks how Community Thanksgiving started and then what we did this year.
Community Thanksgiving started 11 years ago. I didn't even mean for it to become what it's become, in all honesty. My mom and dad were retired. They needed to get engaged in something, so I went to the store and I bought like 13 turkeys, I think, and the sides, and I started making turkeys and making Thanksgiving dinner. And I ended up with, I think it was like 139, 150 meals. And when I finished, I'm like, what am I gonna do with these meals? You know, my mom had gotten diagnosed; she was sick, so she couldn't be around anybody at the time, and I didn't want to just sitting in the house, you know, being sick. So I wanted to make sure that she felt a purpose, and that's why I did Community Thanksgiving for the first year. So I ended up with all these all these meals. And I called Shatero Johnson. She was the mayor of Grand Coteau at the time. And I'm like, hey, Shatero, you know what I can do with these meals? So I meet her. We load the meals up in her trunk. And we just started walking around Grand Coteau and Sunset. And I would literally walk to the person's door, knock, offer them a meal, sit down, have a few words, and then go on to the next one. I've always been on fire for community service. But knowing that I started that as a selfish thing, you know, I didn't want my mom sitting down feeling useless. I knew I could do something, but I did it for her and me. Like I wasn't even thinking about what I was gonna do with the food. Like it came from a very selfish thing. It really did, you know, it really did. I just wanted to help my mama, and then I had to call and ask for help, and then that is the spirit of Community Thanksgiving, you know. It was out of my control by year 2. You know, David Goodwin, he called Todd Citron, you know, he paid for all the turkeys like for the first 5 years. Once we got up to having to cook 100 turkeys and more, he's like, hey man, I'll pay for half. I'm like, I don't blame you, you know. But
that's like your not to backtrack, but your sister every single year donates the amount of cases that the year of diapers that the diaper drive represents. So
she's screwed. Because Julian is not going to stop his diaper drive, bro. Oh, Lord. When he turned 20, she better start investing in diapers.
So Todd was smart to back out.
Oh, look, and I gave him the way out. I said, dude, I don't. He was like, so you still want me to pay? He asked me, you still want me to pay for all your time? I'm like, no, man, I'm going to get some other help. Just stop.
But yeah, you get folks like a Todd Citron and David Goodwin to come in, and they see the impact of it immediately, and they want to help, and this thing just starts kind of growing legs and growing over the years.
It was crazy. Mark Broussard for the first 5 years, and people didn't even know that, but he would come in, and that's how he and I met. I want to say it was maybe year 3 of Community Thanksgiving. He rose it because I would use JSP's prep. I would use their kitchen to store everything and prep everything. And he and Tony and Sheila Davern, they walk in with a whole trailer full of sweet potatoes. He would buy the sweet potatoes every year, you know. And that is what grew. That is how Community Thanksgiving grew into this animal. It was in year 3 or 4, Rotary Club stepped in. And I remember those years because this one, you know, when all these people started stepping in, it's like, all right, well, we got to keep adding numbers, you know. Why underutilize the people that are willing to help? But all that was falling on me, you know, having to go to the store. But here's me and Julian. He's in the back in his car seat. We going to Sam's, picking up all this stuff. And when the Rotary Club stepped in, it was one of the most amazing feelings because I would literally pull up in my truck. Every supply I thought we needed to make this work was in the truck. And I would just look at the Rotarians, and they're like, so, John, what do you want us to do? And I just look at them like, cook. You know, I'm cook. And they just took over. You know, it's not brain surgery. We're making rice dressing, sweet potatoes, green beans with sausage, and John Jenkins of Taco Sisters had stepped in by year 3 or 4 to handle the turkeys. And in the beginning, like let's say, like I could not cook 30 turkeys by myself. That would be insane. But let's say the first year John did it, it was 30 turkeys. And he was like, bring your ice chest, I got your turkeys ready. And I'd go, and he would cook all that like in a day, a few days before 2 days before Thanksgiving, or even I would go pick him up even the day before and start carving up turkeys like crazy. Melissa Llewellyn, Bobby Frugier, they would help me. They were through the 705 group. They would come help me carve turkeys. We'd pan that up, put it in the coolers, and we'd serve it the next day. Well, once you start getting to 100, 200, this year we did, 375 turkeys? Like, that ain't nothing you're about to do in a day, you know?
Yeah.
Again, one of those Love of People initiatives in Community Thanksgiving, because of the talent of the people we have around, the love of the people we have around, and especially these business owners that have these business minds on how to scale and have the resources to scale. This year we did 5,000 meals. That was made possible because people like Chad Terrio of CBM Technology, he brought in his brain and his spreadsheet that really helped organize the process. Amanda Landry of House of Lume, one of the most talented people I've ever seen work a Post-it note that truly takes over 100 volunteers and puts them working. It looks like, a Oompa Loompa factory or something. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody falls in line.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Oh my God. And then like Ray Flores this year, again, with Industrial Safety Solutions, they stepped in, and Ray, the first year he involved himself with Community Thanksgiving was 3 years ago. He cut a check to help. The second year, he cut a check and brought his family to serve. And the third year, the man utilized his business to help create these 2,000 meals, and his staff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we have our base of operations in Sunset, have for the past several years, where all these people, these volunteers come in and help cook. People, organizations come in like Acadian Total Securities. They bring in their big grill truck and are cutting up and grilling the sausage. But then we created a second one thanks to Ray over in Youngsville, so that we can better serve that south part of the area.
It's just this year absolutely blew my mind, and then another big one that came through so heavy was Seth Citron and Crawdaddies. I didn't realize, again, I never worked in a restaurant and things. I just have a big heart and I got a lot of cool people around me, so we could pull it off. However, I didn't realize to do 5,000 meals, the infrastructure you would need, in order to pull this off. This is industrial type equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I ain't got it. I don't have it. But then when we start, as the problems would arise, like, hey, John, we're ordering, 800 pounds of sausage. Like, where we gonna put this? And then here comes Matt Chasson again with Grouse Room and had a deep freezer in the back. And we're able to start utilizing the deep freezer from the beginning.
Yeah, cutting up the turkeys weeks ahead of time. And
it's just, this year absolutely blew my mind, even with my QLS staff, utilizing my staff like Luke to help.
Who's running the cameras right now?
It's all about helping others help others. Like, this is what it's about. This is why you hear some of the same names coming up, because it's the way that Love of People operates. Whether you have an affinity to want to help raise diapers or help somebody with dementia or cook a turkey, it just doesn't matter, because the way we work together in this environment of Love of People, it's all about the purpose. And that's after 12 years of seeing us grow this organization. the way we work together, I believe, is what attracts people year after year. I believe that the people that we have come, I say it all the time. I don't care what religion, what race, what political background you come from. It has nothing to do with what our purpose as to what brought us here. Mm-hmm. So as long as we come together with that common purpose in mind, then watch out. And that's what I see now.
Yeah, and speaking of those names, can't talk about the 11th annual Community Thanksgiving without shouting out Poche's and Mr. Poche, and another process that got streamlined and bettered. And where I'm from in Covington, we call it dirty rice. Yeah. Here it's rice dressing. But my dad, I brought back a few meals. My parents came in for Community Thanksgiving this year and helped volunteer, and it was cool for them to see it with their eyes, what I've been involved with the past few years. But my dad brought back those meals. My dad went to town on that rice.
Look, there's two things. Let me make a point. One, love of people. I will not donate a stitch of clothes, a toy, or a meal that my kids wouldn't play with, wear on their backs, or eat at my table. We make sure that quality is provided, no exceptions. Mm-hmm. Okay. Damn, I said that too hard. I forgot my second point. And look, let me tell you, I have a cool network of people, man. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't consider myself to be no cool guy or anything, but I know a lot of cool people. But when Mr. Poche, an OG steps up and not only hands you the keys to Poche's, but also hands you his #1 rice dressing maker, his daughter, and he himself. This man on Thanksgiving morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, is cooking our rice dressing at Poche's. I will get caught in the weeds if I go down the road of how much headache. I mean, just the rice could have shut down Community Thanksgiving at any point. Yeah. At any point. Amanda would have a lot to say about that. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was one year we did, I forget how many, I guess it was maybe 1,500, 2,000 meals. And, we had just gotten to that many. I didn't know where the hell I was getting this rice from. So I started telling all the Rotarians and volunteers, like, bring rice pots. Man, we ended up with, had to be better than 20 rice pots. Yeah. Oh, my God. And we in this large building and didn't think, well, we're about to start blowing breakers because all these rice pots. We couldn't even play the radio because it was so many rice pots.
Yeah, you probably could have flagged the federal government. Probably could have got flagged. What kind of domestic terrorism event is going on here?
We were creating some serious radiation for sure. Something was going down with all these rice pots, and then from that, then it was hey, let's rent a refrigerator cooler and start getting pre-cooked rice from here, or oh man, Vic Ragsdale. He had become my rice warrior. Like Vic was trying to figure out so many different ways to cook, pre-cooked rice. And then when they said we could go parboiled rice, that's when I said, nah, hey, stop. I'll blow breakers, I'll do, but I am not putting parboiled rice in my rice dressing. It just ain't happening. But Vic stepped up, man, year after year. He and his family would cook rice like early that morning and bring rice to us. It had just become such a headache. The rice. Mm-hmm. And then when Mr. Poche stepped up and did that, between Mr. Poche and all that infrastructure, John Jenkins stepping up the way he did, Ray Flores stepping up the way he did, Chad Terrio still being willing to run this thing, there is no reason that Community Thanksgiving can't do what Chad and I set out to do, and that is to ensure that anybody who wants a meal or wants to eat with somebody and not alone on Thanksgiving Day in Acadiana, we will achieve that goal.
Went from 3,600 meals last year to 5,000 this year. Excited to see where it grows and gets even more next year. You can find out more about Community Thanksgiving year-round, loveofpeople.org /communities or /community-Thanksgiving, something like that. You'll find it on the website. Go over there.